It's Omar. It is Sunday, March 4th, 9:52 a.m. And I'm making a video building my watch list for tomorrow, March 5th. Um, Friday was a fantastic day for me. A lot of you guys have been emailing me, not emailing me, but messaging me on YouTube and on Twitter, talking about making plays off the watch list on Friday, which is fantastic. Again, I am on Twitter, watchotrade. I've been giving you a lot of real-time analysis. I just been posting here, kind of giving you guys what I've been looking at, what I'm trading in real time. I mean, pretty remarkable. I was talking about several trades, but one of them was ECYT. I was telling everybody that I thought this was going to squeeze, and I had EAS, which was a great dip buy. I didn't trade that one, but I did trade EYCT, and I told everybody that it was going to squeeze shorts, and sure enough, it squeezed shorts, just like I did hit a high. I think of like at this point it was only like 608, hit a high 627, but I think the stock went on to go a high of 680. I got out way before then, but I called it out, and I called out a lot of plays. I called builder. I told everybody if it holds 21, go long. I think the stock went to like 2140 or 2150, which was pretty remarkable. I told everyone, oh, AXGN, but this was choppy. I mean, I should not even posted this. It wasn't enough volume, I think, to even talk about. But I told everyone at the open, CLF, I was looking at CLF before the open. See, looking at CLF at the open, looking a little bearish. If it breaks key support level, we'll take it short. And I took that. I took Apple short pre-market. Good. I got out before that big move upward. Zan, I told everybody it was gonna gap and crap, and it did. So there was, I gave you guys a lot of calls. Unfortunately, starting tomorrow, I don't know if I'm gonna have the flexibility to do this kind of stuff. I'll always be able to look at my phone and look at my alerts, but I'm not gonna be able to pull up the charts like I've been doing. When I work from home, I will, but it's not gonna be as frequent, at least for now, as it has been. I do my best to try to provide you with value and content, and definitely big ups to a lot of you guys. I think I just want to shout out somebody before I go into the actual watch list. I think it was let me just pause this. I want to shout out somebody who Arlo, man. This guy, he's awesome. I mean, literally every day he he actually goes on the comments and actually sends me some feedback about the trades that he's made, and he's been doing great, man. He's been really banking because he's just basically following the watch list, and then making key trades off support and resistance levels. So, and everybody else, Joseph and Dakota Girl, Whistle This, the Disciplined Trader, all you guys, I really appreciate the feedback and, watching me. So with that said, what I did yesterday was I posted the watch list for tomorrow, and I said, hey, draw out your own support and resistance lines, and then I'll create the video, and then you can kind of compare and see what you're thinking, what I'm thinking, and I think it's a good learning mechanism, because that's the only way you're gonna get better. So ears, was on my watch list because I like to look at stocks that kind of hold their highs. Either they took a big beating on the day, or they're up near their highs for the day, and they got the above average volume. So you see here, this average volume for the stock is 1.2 million shares, but today it traded 12 million shares. And there's a lot of ways you can search for these. Again, just to remind you, and because of the weekend, I'll make this a little longer. Remember, you can always go to finviz, and I just keep the criteria simple. I go to screener, and then I look for my criteria, and I go to all. So once I go to screen, I go to all, so I can get all the options there. And for price, you can do any range. I do under $50, but sometimes I'll do 150 and up. I'll do $100 stocks or over $100 stocks. It just really depends on the market. And then current volume, I like to look for stocks for over a million shares traded, because you want stuff that's liquid, so that's easier to trade. And then depends on the market. I'll say up 3% from the open. And we got 280 tickers, so that's a lot of tickers, you know. And then what I do is, like, if you want, you can like filter by volume to put the stocks with the most volume up. And then what I do is then I go to charts, and then I click on candle. And then what I literally do is I scroll through the actual charts looking for stocks with like big candles like this, and then I pull up the chart and I say, oh, SWN looked like it had, you know, big green day. So I'll pull up the chart, I'll type SWN, and then look, this is a stock that's on my watch list tomorrow because it's up, you know, up a lot. It's up 20% and it's holding its high. So my expectation is the next day it's gonna be volatile. And then what I do is like I'll pull, there's another chart I just detached, there's a bigger chart. And then I have, you know, the daily, so 1 day over the last year, and then I look to see what it has a trend of doing. So like for example, here, right, back, this is like a big creamy candle, right? It had 20 that day, it had 51 million shares traded, right? It opened at 794, had a high of 871, a low of 93, it closed at 859. So what did it do the next day? The next day it opened up at 878, hit a high of 894, and then hit a low of 820, closed at 834. So it, you know, it gapped up and then pulled back. So and then I look to see like what other times it had a big green candle, and then what it do the following day. And that's how you kind of get a sense of like what the stock has a habit of doing. So usually what I'm noticing is right here, big green day, red day. Here I had a couple of green days, it just had a continuation. You know, here it had a big green day, next day it was like it kind of didn't know which direction it wanted to go in. And then you kind of get here, big green day, and then another big green day. So we'll see, you know, we'll see. The 50-day moving average is here at 462. So, you know, we gotta see how it's gonna react to that come tomorrow. You know, and that's kind of how you kind of find stocks, you know, and you just kind of go through and you say, okay, maybe I'll put it on my watch list, you know, based on that. And it had a big day, so like I would look at Snap and INTC because these are big candles. What I also love to do is look for like stocks that have gaps to fill above and below. So I'll give you an example. Like this is a gap down, and you want to see, what I would be doing is looking at the high of before the thing. So like I'll put up a stock like PDCO just to teach you. I'm teaching you the jewels, guys. These are the tricks. So okay, so now right, I go on the yearly. Right, I said, man, this is a stock that's been beaten down, right? It had this crazy gap down, right? I want to see what was the highest point. So what you could do is, just for fun, you can say, hey, over the last 2 days, right, this was, even though it's literally 200 shares, you still got to respect it. So a high hit of 29.15, and what you could literally do, and just, you can create an alert to say, just to see whenever, if it ever gets back there, you know, buy breakout, it holds 29.15 or short rejection, and just forget about it. What's cool about the Thinkorswim alert system is that when it gets to there, it'll alert you, so you can forget it. Maybe that won't happen for, you know, a few days, a week, a month, maybe never, but you know, it'll alert you. And clearly there's no resistance above it till $31. So if you ever got up here, you got the alert, it'll ride that bitch up. You know, and that's what you look for, guys. That's why people, you know, the big traders on Twitter, you'll see they'll say they spend a lot of time looking at stocks. That's what they do. So they look at stocks like TWLO is a stock that I would look at, because look at that candle. DCP is a perfect example of a gap to fill below. I love these kind of plays because QCP. Because what happens is, look at that, I didn't even look to trade this, but this is something that I normally would put on my watch list. Because look what happens, right? It has a gap to fill below. So what I'm looking to see is, first off, it has clear support at 1550, and if it couldn't hold 1550, you could probably take a short on it, and you probably get back down to this 1490 level, you know. But what I would be looking to see is this. All right, this is where the gap started, right? So I would put an alert right here, right? If I just want to look at one area, so the low here is 1345, and I would put, you know, potential dip buy at 1345, gap to fill below, short if can't hold. All right, and you got to put your notes and be detailed so that way you know. So this is an easy money trade. Like if they ever got back down here and it broke 1345, like if it holds it, you buy the dip. But if it can't, look at this. You get almost a whole point before it gets to its next support level. Those are easy gimme trades. So that's why you look for those gap downs and gap ups and look for the highest point and the lowest point to potentially short or long. You know, I'm not going to put this on my watch list, but you could if you wanted to put it on yours and look for a potential dip buy if it pulls back. I'm assuming it's going to pull back to one of these areas. So that's what I look for, guys. Just, you know, that's kind of how I go through my watch list, and I kind of look for stocks, and I look for stocks that are up. Sometimes if the market's down, you don't have any big plays, then you look for stocks that have been beaten down a lot, and then look for that red to green play, meaning it breaks above the previous day's close price. So that's what I look for, guys. That's why I wasn't really intending on talking about all this, but you know, I'm just sharing and teaching. Okay, so let's go through the watch list quickly. EARS. EARS is the first stock on my watch list. Okay, so I'm looking at 2 key levels. I don't know what this is gonna do. I don't know what the news is. I mostly play technical charts, but I think it's always a good idea to know what the news is, because if it's some great news, you know, this could be the start of a run. You know, but you always want to look at the chart history to see, you know, when's the last time did it had a run, how long was the run for, you know, like for example, this stock back in January of December last year, you know, it was at like opened at 39 cents, and it kind of over the next week, 2 weeks, it went from 39 to 66 cents. So you know, it can move, but this is more like a swing trade, not like a day trade if you just want to get in and out. You know, if you're thinking like that. So, you know, look at the fundamentals, look at all that stuff, and then figure out what you want to do. But I'm looking at 2 key levels. If it can break 33.2 and hold, I'm going to take it long. If it gets to this level, can't hold it, if I could find the shares to short, I would short it. I would suggest, if you like shorting like I do, you know, if you can't afford center point, go with interactive brokers. They're great. And you know, the interactive brokers is great for finding shares to short for stocks under $1. You know, a lot of times they're hard to borrow, so you got to pay a fee, but that's, you know, you got to pay to play. So that's how that goes. And then if it pulls back at the open and holds 28, then I would potentially look to buy the dip if it held 28.14. Otherwise, you know, it can collapse, and I'm not at that point. I'm no longer interested in the stock. So those are the 2 key levels that I'm looking at, folks. All right, that's me. Now you could have said, well, Omar, I see support here, so I put a support. You know, I put another trend line here, which you could. For me personally, though, I'm just looking at these 2 key levels. That's just me. All right, next up is SGYP. SGYP, you know, up 24%. We look at the yearly. You know, this is a stock that's been as high as $5. You know, it has some. Let me do this real quick. Okay. Yeah, so it has some key support right here. It's literally right at the 50-day simple moving average on the yearly. The 50 days at 27. I'm sorry, the 100 is at 230. So you got some resistance in those levels. So you gotta be careful. You know, so what I'm looking to see come to tomorrow is if it breaks above 218 and holds, I would take it long, risking off that 218. If it got above it, couldn't hold it, and fell below it, I would short, risking at 218. Looking at a potential dip buy at 207. If it held 207, buy the dip. If you were short, you would cover if it held here. Otherwise, you know, you take it, you continue going short, or you buy the dip, depending on your entry. Next key support level is 198. So if it held 198, I buy the dip. Otherwise, I could take a short, risking off that. The next key support level is 189. If it held 189, I would take it long, risking off that 189 level. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't play it at that point, because you know it's been in that trend. You know, you always want to look a little further. Like you can look over the last 10 days, 30 minutes to see where this stock has been. So you know, it's not normally a big gap. It probably had some news. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. You know, maybe it does nothing. Not every stock on my watch list is gonna be great. A lot of them are gonna be duds. They're gonna have a lot of volume. But it's just a watch list, guys. It doesn't mean you're gonna play every stock on the list. You're just keeping an eye on these stocks for potential entries. So next up is TNDM. TNDM is up 14%. You know, had a nice move from 3 to 422, almost a full point. You know, so what I'll be looking to see is if it breaks above 422, pulls back and holds, I'll take it long. risking off that. Otherwise, I'll take it short. Let's see, does it tell you if it's easy to borrow? Yeah, this could potentially be easy to borrow. So next, if it gapped up and held 410, I take it long. Otherwise, if it rejects it, I'll short it because it's below it currently. Next up is 386. So if it holds 386, I'll take it long. Otherwise, I'll short it, risking off 386. Another key support level here, 3876. Now, if it pulled back to 376, I'll potentially dip by it, risking off that and taking it long. Otherwise, I'll short it. And the last key level here that I would potentially look at this is 358. You can also look at the previous day's close price, which is 339. That's another area you could potentially dip by it. I didn't create an alert here, so I'll just put it right now. Potential dip by at 358, short, rejection. All right. So there you go. Next up, SWN. So these are more stocks than I normally would put, but I just want to give you guys options. I've traded this several times. This is a stock, when it does move, it moves, but when it pulls back, they're great. This stock is great for shorting because it usually gives a lot of its gains. It's in this channel right now, so it's real easy. I like trading these kind of stocks. So a lot of times though, the move happens in pre-market, which is like, but you hope that it doesn't. But if it breaks above 448 and holds, I'll take it long. Really 450, because that 450 is that whole number. So if it breaks above 450 and holds, you can take it long. Otherwise, you can short it, risking off this level. If it holds 441, I dip by there. Otherwise, I take a short. Now, if you take a short, break below 441, there is some support here at 435. So just be careful here. Could be a potential dip buy. I didn't put an alert there, but just be mindful of that. And if it broke below that, you can get back down to 422. If it held 422, you could potentially dip by it there. Otherwise, you could short it, and the next key level is 410. Now, if it breaks 410, this thing could potentially get back to 395 and 386. So those are key areas that you just gotta be mindful of. All right. Me personally, if the energy stocks, you're gonna notice there are a lot of energy stocks here because they're all moving in tandem. So if tomorrow like oil's up and all that, expect these stocks to continue upward. Next up is CERS. CERS. Now normally I wouldn't because this is like choppy, but it's been like slowly grinding. So so I just put it on the watch list basically because of that. I mean, this is kind of dog shit. Not really a lot of volume. I really don't suggest that you trade this, but if it broke above 463 and held, I would probably take it long. Even though I have potential dip buys here at 457, 449, and 444, be mindful because look, this is trash. There's like no volume, so you really kind of want to stay away from this. But if it held 463 and kept going, you could potentially take it long. This stock has had a gap to fill above at 543. So so there has been times when the stock has had some movement. So we'll see. That's the only reason why I have it on the watch list. But probably not the best stock to put on the watch list, to be quite honest with you. Next up is KERX. The KERX. Wait a minute. Let me see something here. Okay, yeah, I got it right. All right, KERX. Oh, I know why I put this on the watch list. Oh, you know what? I didn't look at the chart too well. This is my bad, guys. I thought that this was at the highest point where it had the gap to fill above. That's why I put it on the watch list. But you know what? Oh, I'll tell you why I put this on the watch list. This is a new kind of... I probably should, we should skip this. But I put it on because I'm testing out this new 300 SMA. And when stocks open and hold this 300 SMA, they have a tendency to move upward. It's just a new strategy that I'm playing with, and you gotta have it on the 3 time frame. So that's what the yellow line indicates. It's reflected the 300 SMA. So that's why. So I put on the watch list just to test to see if it breaks above 477, does it continue upward? That's all. But this is a choppy stock, probably not the best to trade. Next up, CNAT. CNAT is a stock that I've traded several times. It's at 2.8 million shares. Normally trades at 500,000 shares, so it's up. A lot of the stocks have been choppy on the market lately. What I would look to see is if this breaks above 626 and holds, take it long. Risking off the 626. If it can't short it, next key level 606. If it holds 606, buy the dip. Otherwise, short it. The next key level below that's 589. If it holds 589, buy the dip. Otherwise, you could short that. And the next key level would be 550. So, you know, take a nice short there. Held 550, you could buy the dip. Otherwise, you could short it. You know, this is another choppy stock too. Next up is ECYT. ECYT was the gimme that I gave you guys. And, you know, and this popped up because I had this on my watch list because, and what did I say? It was 608 was the key because I think a couple of days prior, the high, the pre-market high was here. It was around here, 608. Let me look at a bigger time frame. I think it was either somewhere around here. I think you can't see it because I have it zoned in, but that 608 was reflective of a previous high on one of these. I don't know if it was here. Here it is. This is why. Because on this day, it held its highs. This was on February 28th. So I put an alert here to say if it broke C08 and held, take it long. And just to show you guys that, you know, just to you know, full disclosure so that you guys see that, you know, this is how I do things and that I'm not bullshitting you. This was the alert. Where was it? Here it is. See? Buy breakout of hold 608 or short breakdown. So that's when I got the alert. I was actually looking at Builder to go long on Builder, BLDR, when this popped up, and then I just kind of got distracted. And I told everyone on Twitter if it held 608, take it long. And so as you can see, you know, I had put, you know, here's the trend line, and you could see, you know, kind of held, kind of broke below it for a second, and then just kind of started squeezing everybody. And I told everybody it was going to squeeze shorts. I just knew that it wasn't gonna fade because it held VWAP for a second there. It broke below 608 and I think it was right around here, and it touched VWAP, and VWAP acted as support. And you know, VWAP is, when a stock's above VWAP, it's bullish, and you can see the whole time it kept riding VWAP, and that's why VWAP's important to have. And you know, and you know, it just kept squeezing. It got to a high 670. I got out well before then. I got out like right around here. Like I think I got in like at 613, 614, I can't remember, and I got out like at I think it was 641. I got out and I missed all this run, and I had a feeling it was. And look, this is the 50 simple moving average and VWAP. You see how it just bounced off that and just kept going up. So it's on my watch list for tomorrow. I think tomorrow, because this is so overextended, that it's due for a red day and people to take profit, but you just never know with these stocks. So yeah, let me just pull this back. There we go. So what I'm looking to see is if it breaks above 670 and holds, take it long, but be careful because you might get a quick spike at the open and this shit just tanks. So be careful. Don't just buy. Remember, don't buy when it breaks out. You gotta hold and then you take it long. Next key support level 646. If it held, you could buy the dip there. If it held 621, now you're not gonna be able to short this stock probably. Oh, maybe. Let's see. Well, it doesn't show. It's Sunday, so yeah, it's not a low float. It's 48 million shares. So, but it is a lower float stock. So these are the key areas I'm looking at. 670 if it breaks and holds long. 646 for a potential dip buy if it held. 621 for a potential dip buy if it held. 604 if it potentially held for a dip buy. Or 550. Now, obviously, you could short any one of these levels that it broke below, especially that $6 level. It doesn't hold 6, and you can find shares to short. You're gonna get like 50 cents on this, guaranteed. I think tomorrow is the day it goes red and pulls back hard, but we'll see. And if it happens, it's probably gonna have a pre-market. Everybody's gonna probably take their profit, but we'll see what happens. Next up, BDK. BDK, you know, it's in this channel, so let me pull up. Ah, crap. Here we go. So, you know, I booked there. I've traded this several times. This is one of these stocks that you can really short if it doesn't hold its key levels because it pulls back. So if it breaks above 708 and holds, I'm gonna take it long, risking off that 708. If it broke below 698, I'm gonna take it short. And I think if it goes short, you do have support here at 676. But I think this thing gets back down to like $6 because if you look at the chart history, it usually has gaps up and then it has big red days. So, you know, but because it's its first green day after 3 red days, you know, it may have a continuation upward. Let me see something. It's not letting me look higher. Oh, yeah. So I have some alerts above it. Let's see. I have an alert at 7:26 and at 7:38 because if you notice, there is some resistance here at 7:38 and at 7:26. So what I'm really looking to see is, and this will be on my watch list. So if it breaks above 7:08 and holds, take it long. Looking at 7:26 for potential resistance point and 7:38. But if it breaks above 7:38, there's really nothing holding this up to like $8. So I mean, you can, this thing may rip if it holds. We'll see. It'll be one of those slow kind of grinders. So just be mindful of that. Otherwise, maybe tomorrow if it can't hold 7, expect a big tank. All right. Next up is INNT. INNT. This was a big mover. I was looking for potentially dip by this, but it took too long for the hold to resume, and I didn't take a trade. This is one of those low floaters, 2.5 million shares, so it's very volatile. Just be careful. I put it on the watch list. I didn't create no alerts, but these are the key areas that you would look for potentially trade. I'm not even sure if I'm going to trade tomorrow, so I'm just like a little bit lazier than normal. But look at those key support levels of 1290, for me 1129, 942, and 879. If you can't hold 879, this thing probably gets back to $5. But it would be very hard to find shares to short. I doubt and there are going to be any shares available anyway. And I think tomorrow it just dies, to be quite honest with you. We'll see. Next up, DDD. DDD, man, I shorted this at the open, and boy, I was so upset with myself because, so I took a short at the open. And I want to show you guys something. Let me pull it up here on the other chart. Look what happens. This is why I like using multiple time frames, and this is why I got out of it. So on the 1 minute time frame, it's the stock is below the 300 and 250 SMA, but on the 5 minute and 15 minute, look what happens. It literally touches the 300 SMA on the 15 minute time frame. And look what happens. It dips below it on the 5 minute time frame, but it holds it. In that next candle, you see how it literally touches it. And according to somebody I'm working with, we've been kind of shooting the shit. That's when she gets long on these, and she's like, she's always killing it. So buying these bounces off the 300 SMA that hold. So when I saw it bounce off that, I got out because I felt. Now what I did wrong was I should have bought the dip. So I had, right, in my notes, I said, because we had a clear support level here, 1060, I said, if it holds 1060, go long. And what I should have did was see, knowing that it bounced off this, that it could potentially continue upward. I didn't keep my eye on it. And once it broke that 1060, look, it just took off. It took off and running. Look at all the time frames. It was just off and running. And man, what a potential dip buy. Here, let me put it back on the big time frame. It started gapping up. It held 1060 and it just continued to run all day. And I told you the next potential buy was at 11 and it held 11. Look at that, it just continued up. And these are the support and resistance lines I plotted for tomorrow. Now, what I'd be looking is, for me, just if you want to play it safe, once it breaks 1170 and holds, take it long, But you got a potential dip buy here at 1158, 1135, 1111, and $11. So you can short off each one of these key levels if it doesn't hold. But DDD is, if we're looking at the yearly, had its first green day. This stock has had multiple green days in a row before. And, it does have a gap to fill at, what does it say, low 1190. It's almost at that 1190 mark. So you may see a move above it. We'll see tomorrow. All right. Next up is Fate. Fate is a stock that I've traded several times. This is a volatile stock, so be careful with this. But I'm looking to see tomorrow if it breaks above 14 and holds 1403, take it long. I'm just getting off that 14, and it would be at a yearly high. So this can really move if it breaks and holds 1403. Right now, currently, it's at that 1292 mark. So if it held it, you could buy the dip. Otherwise, you could short risking off that. Next key level below that is 1247. If it held 1247, you can buy the dip. Otherwise, you could short it, risking off that. And really, 1250. So be mindful of that 1250 area. And then if it can't hold it, you got another potential dip by 12. If it can't hold 12, man, this thing, you can get a lot of, 2 points potentially. There is support in these areas below 1183 and a couple other areas, but It's not strong support. So, I mean, these are great potential dip buys. Next up, CRC. CRC, I'm just looking at one key level. Is 1490. 1490 actually at 1518. So if it broke above 1518 and holds, I take it long. Otherwise, I short it, risking off 1518. And the other key level is 1490. If it holds 1490, I buy the dip. Otherwise, I short it. There is areas here for potential, support of 1458 and 1442. Keep that in mind. And this is not, this stock doesn't have a tremendous amount of volume. I'm trying to remember why I put it on my watch list, but because if it broke above 1518, this thing can get all the way. It can potentially. I think it could potentially get back to 16 bucks. That's why I put it there. So we'll see. Next up, UAA. UAA is at 17 bucks right now. UAA is volatile, so be on the lookout for that. Tomorrow, if it broke above 1706 and holds, take it long. If it pulls back and holds 1686, you can buy the dip. Otherwise, take a short, risking off that level. The next key level below that's that 1675 mark. If it holds 1675, buy the dip. Otherwise, short it. And then you have I didn't continue. I just got lazy. But there is more. There is support here at this 1657 level, and then like the 1650 level right here. So those are two key areas too. You could potentially look to buy the dip if it pulls back tomorrow. So those are key levels. But I'm looking at these three key levels. All right. Next up is AKRX. AKRX, oh yeah, it has this huge gap to fill above. That's why I put it on the watch list. And here, let me put a bigger time frame. So I'm looking at two key levels. If it holds 19, let me zoom out, sorry. If it holds 1918, if it breaks above 1918 and holds, take it long. Looking at 1935, excuse me, for potential resistance. Now, if it breaks above 1935, I think this stock could get back to $20, $21. Because look at this. There's a gap to fill above. I mean, there's really, there's, obviously you have this here, but there's really nothing from stopping this to run up. So be on the lookout if this stock can break 1935. If it can hold 1935, be on the lookout to take it and run. Next up, AEO. AEO is at currently, it's up after hours. I had 2018. It actually got up higher. It got up, so I gotta change this. You know what it is? I know. I'm looking at a high time frame. That's why. I'm sorry, guys. Oh yeah, it did. It moved. Look at this. It's at 2034. So I have to change this to the high, right? So we're gonna change this. We're gonna edit this. I'm gonna say 2033. I think it's 2033. Let's see, 2033, right? Yeah, 2034. So we're going to say, sorry guys, I know this video is longer than usual. If I break out, it holds 2034 for short breakdown. Alright, and there you go. Alright, so the next key to me, I'm looking at just these three key levels. If it breaks 2034 and holds, I'm taking it long. If it can't hold that, look to short it, because when it goes red, it's gonna give back a lot. But keep in mind the high is 2046, so you should have an alert set at 2046, because that is the high, the yearly high. So if it really breaks above 2046 and holds, this thing could continue to run. Now the key levels that I'm looking to buy the dip, because it has some strong support here at 1990. If it holds 1990, I buy the dip. Otherwise, I short, risking off that. Another key level here is 1965. So it holds 1965, I buy the dip. Otherwise, I short it. And then you have some support here at 1950. Whole numbers are always like key areas you gotta look for. All right, so that's that. Next up, CHGG, Chegg. Chegg, 2109 is the high. 2110 actually says here. So I gotta. If it breaks above 2110 and holds, take it long. Otherwise, you can short, risking off that level. You do have some support here at 2086. Just so that's a potential dip by area. But I'm looking at 2070. If it held 2070, I would buy the dip there. Otherwise, I short it, risking off that. And then the next level below it, there was a lot of support at 2051. But you know, 2050 really is the key number. So look for a potential dip by there. Otherwise, you could short it. And then you have 2030 as well. So if it break below 2030, you know, I think you get a nice wash. I mean, you do have some support at 2004. Just be mindful of that. But I think you can get a big wash. And check when it has red days, it pulls back hard. So we'll see. But it had its first green day. Maybe it has another one tomorrow. We'll see. Last two stocks is BGS. BGS, I'm looking at this for one reason. Normally I wouldn't look at this, but because it has a gap to fill above at 31 bucks. If it breaks above the high here of 29.75, I look to see if it's gonna fill the gap. That's the only reason why this is on my watch list. It has the gap to fill above. See, that's the only reason why it's above on the 1 minute or the simple movement, the 50, the 200, the 300, and VWAP. And if we go on the high time, you know, bigger time frames, let's see where it's at. Bigger time frames, it's also, well, you do have some resistance on the 300 at the 15-minute time frame at 30.43. So, you know, you just be mindful of that. But, you know, this is something I'm testing. You know, the 200 is really the institutions watch the 200 more than anything. I'm just testing this 300 theory out, but it seems to be, you know, good with the back testing. So if it breaks above 20.75 and holds, just take it long. I think this thing could run tomorrow. Next up is AYX. Last but not least, AYX is up a lot. It's just been on this run. It's at a yearly high. So I'm looking to see if it breaks above 36.70 and holds, I'll take it long, risking off that. If it can't hold it, I'll short it, risking off that. And then the next key support level is 36.13 to potentially buy a dip. If it can't hold it, short it. And then 35.81. If it can't hold 35.81, this thing is gonna wash. So, you know, it's not a ticker that I know. Look at this. It's like kind of crappy. It's not a lot of volume, but even 100 shares, 200 shares can get you multiple points. That's why sometimes I put them on my watch list. So, you know, nothing I'm in love with for the watch list for tomorrow. And there's probably other stocks, but you know, it takes a lot of time to just dig through charts. So, with that said, I know this video is longer than usual. Like, subscribe, share, and let me know how you guys been doing. Let me know if you've been taking trades and if you've been profitable. Right? Have a great weekend.